Hello, welcome along to today's solve of a Telegraph Cryptic Crossword. Today we're going to have a go at Cryptic Crossword number 31086. If you're new here, welcome along. If you're looking to solve or learn how to solve Telegraph and other cryptic crosswords, then you're in the right place. Hopefully we'll go through the clues today and decipher them all, and I'll explain to you, or try and explain to you, how they're all created, how to look out, what things to look out for, and any other hints and tips as I come across them. If you're a more experienced cryptic crossword solver looking to hone your skills or try out perhaps a different puzzle from a different compiler or different newspaper, then you're very welcome as well. And if you've joined me before and you're back again for another cryptic crossword solve, then welcome back. Nice to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. Okay, let's start as we always do with one across. Approach crook with diplomacy. Okay, so the first thing we look at with a cryptic crossword clue is how is the wording set up? Because in about 3/4 of clue types, the clues are set up in a very specific way. There is a part that is the definition part, and there is a part that is wordplay, the cryptic part. And the definition part is usually at the end or at the beginning. And then the rest of the clue is the wordplay. And that's always a good place to start to see if it gives us a hint as to how we're going to decipher the clue. So the way this is written, it looks to me like approach is the definition part, because we have crook with diplomacy, which looks like wordplay. So a word for a crook, perhaps a word for diplomacy, put together to give a word that means approach. The other option could be that a crook is sometimes an anagram indicator, so we could have a look at that, but approach in this case has 8 letters, so the clue could be written to suggest an anagram of approach, but that's got too many letters, so I don't think that's the case here. So I think we're looking for a word for a crook and a word for diplomacy. Yeah, so this is contact, so that's a good start. So a crook is a convict, often abbreviated to con, and diplomacy is tact. So con with tact gives contact to approach. If you make contact with somebody, you approach them. Okay, always good to get the first one out of the way. 5 across. Tramp parties wildly. Yeah, okay, so now I think we are looking for probably for an anagram. Wildly is an anagram indicator, and parties has 7 letters. Yeah, so this is traipse. Perhaps not a most common word, certainly not a word you see written down very often. But if you traipse through or along something, you tramp along it. So the clue is written to maybe make you think of a tramp as in perhaps somebody that's homeless or some sort of vagabond. But actually it means to tramp as in to trudge and to walk through, usually with some sort of lumbering gait as you walk through somewhere. And so the answer is traipse, which is parties wildly. Okay. Encroachments where a colossal statue was once found, we hear. Okay, so yeah, so we hear is an indicator that we're looking for a sounds like word, a homophone word. So we're looking for a word that means where a colossal statue was once found, bizarrely in this case, that means encroachments, because the answer is inroads or inroads. So inroads, spelt INROADS, are encroachments. You make inroads into something, you encroach into something. And it sounds like in Rhodes, as in the Greek island Rhodes, where the Colossus of Rhodes statue was once found. So inroads and inroads. Good, 3 out of 3, 10 across. Independent politician having drink with Democrat is transfixed. Yeah, so this is impaled. So we have I for independent. I is a recognised abbreviation for independent. Politician is MP. A drink is an ale. And D is a recognised abbreviation for Democrat. So we have I, MP, ale, D gives impaled, which is transfixed. And if you're not sure about these standard definitions, and you can't just abbreviate any word you like into its initial letter or couple of letters, the definition has to appear in a recognised dictionary like Chambers or Collins or Oxford Dictionary. And if you're interested, I've produced a booklet with a whole long list of definitions. There's about 9 pages of abbreviations, and with some standard words that you often see in cryptic crosswords. And also in that little booklet is my explanation of the 12 types of crossword clues. We've had anagrams already, and we've had sort of standard clues. I'm sure we'll have others, maybe some hidden clues, maybe some double definitions, perhaps later. But if you're interested to learn how to try and identify these 12 different clue types and my list of standard abbreviations, then the downloadable link should be in the description below. Just click on the link, it should auto download for you. No need to sign up for anything or click on anything, just click the link and it should come down. So with all that being said, let's crack on. 11 across, 4 out of 4, good start. Rewrite embargo on returning missile. So rewrite looks like an anagram indicator. Embargo on has 9 letters. Yeah, this is boomerang. It is if you spell it right. Boomerang. So a boomerang is a returning missile, and it's an anagram, a rewrite of embargo on. Okay, competitor is one in posh car. So again, wordplay looks like one in posh car to mean a competitor. That's where I'm initially looking. One could be the Roman numeral I, a posh car. So posh can sometimes be abbreviated to U, the letter U for upper. So is it a 3-letter word for a car with U and 1 in it? Sometimes a posh car is referred to as either a Merc for Mercedes or Rolls-Royce. Yeah, this is racer. So 1 in this case is ace, as in the card. The ace is a 1. A posh car is a Rolls-Royce, abbreviated to RR. So RR with ace in the middle gives a racer, who is a competitor. 13 across, reboot device finally during break. So reboot could be an anagram indicator, but there's no obvious way of getting 5 letters that we need. If it's not, then that would suggest that reboot is the straight part of the clue. So we're looking for device. Device finally would be E during break. So looking for a word for a break, like a snap or a with an E in it to mean reboot. No, not seeing that. Okay, well that's our run of 6 come to an end. Never mind, that's a good start. Lots of checking letters for the down clues, which will be handy when we get to those. 15 across, go out and about in New York causing crisis. So New York appears occasionally because it has the obvious abbreviation NY. So are we looking for a word that means go out and about, or I mean, out is sometimes an anagram indicator. So it could be an anagram of, there isn't really an anagram of go, it's either G or OG, obviously. NY, so does it begin with N and end in Y? Don't know. Okay, let's go on. Student, I scolded and released. Yeah, so again, we're looking at which part is the straight part and which is the wordplay. So it either means a student or it means released. So yeah, so L is a recognized abbreviation for student, so as in a learner. L plates on a car, for example. I is I, and if you scold someone, you berate them. So if they're scolded, they're berated. So Li, berated, gives liberated, which is released. Okay, fires in huts lacking heat at first. Okay, so heat, again, the makeup of the clue here looks like fires is the definition part, and we've got huts. Heat at first is the letter H, so I think we're looking for a word for huts without H, so lacking H, heat at first, to mean fires. Yeah, this is sacks. So again, the clue's cleverly written with fires and heat to make you think it's referring to fire as in the orangey thing that's very hot, but in fact it means fire as in dismiss. So to dismiss, to fire, is to sack. So it's shacks are huts, so basic sort of shed is a shack. Without the H gives sacks, which is to fire. Okay, Barb is in Bath or Newcastle. Yeah, and this is a different type of clue. This is a hidden clue, and the indicator here is in. So this is telling us in this case that the answer, so the straight part is Barb, and again the way the clue is written, you're meant to think that perhaps Barb is an abbreviation for Barbara, a person's name maybe, but actually we're looking for a type of barb in a different with a different definition. And in the letters of Bath or Newcastle, you get thorn, Thorn. And another indicator here is why, if Barb is in Bath or Newcastle, why Bath and Newcastle? Why pick those two cities from among all the other cities in the UK or anywhere else in the world that you could pick? So this is a hint that the word Bath and Newcastle, or somewhere, some combination of those letters, is important. That you couldn't have picked Bristol or some other city. It had to be Bath for a reason, and obviously the reason here is that the answer is contained in Thorn. Of course, it could have been Bath or Norwich, I guess, but particularly those words were important to solving the clue. So that's something else to look out for, is curious combinations of words that are there clearly because the letters themselves are important. Okay, 23 across. Mark's pitch for bit of pavement. So does this mean pitch? For is sometimes pro. If you're for something, you're pro it. Bit of pavement could be P or PA maybe. I don't know. Could it mean bit of pavement? Seems unlikely. Anyway, let's go on. Embarrassed about second hint being delivered. So embarrassed appears quite often, and its synonym is red. So if you go red, you go red when you're embarrassed. So embarrassed is often includes to be red. So if that's red, and it's about second hint, so the straight part then is delivered. So that's obviously a word in the past tense, and embarrassed with red would give us ed at the end, which would give us a word in the past tense. So that's looking promising. Embarrassed about second hint. So S is a recognised abbreviation for second, H for hour, M for minute, S for second. So I think there's an S in there somewhere. Second hint. Okay, so maybe the red. Yeah, okay, this is rescued. So what I was thinking there was that actually that E couldn't be the E of red, because then we would have S for second needing to appear as the second letter of the word, and that's obviously not correct. So that led me to think that the word began RE and the D at the end is the three letters of red, which then gives S in the third position, which is good, RES, and a Q is a hint. Give somebody a cue for something, you give them a hint. So read about SQ gives rescued, which is delivered. Old boy likes strange pillar. Yeah, so this is obelisk. Old boy appears quite regularly and the abbreviation of old boy is OB. So sometimes you might see clues referring to former pupils or ex-pupils. If that's the case, OB is probably what you're looking for old boy. And then strange is the anagram indicator for likes. So if you have OB and the letters of likes, you get obelisk. And an obelisk is a stone pillar. Good. 27 across. The setter's in first place to get drug and drink. So when you see words relating to the setter is referring to himself. So this could be me. So the setter referring to himself would be me. It could be I also. So the setter in this context could be I am. So I'm the setters. I'm in first place, or me, as I say. So this is looking like the wordplay at the start of the clue, and probably looking for a drink, and that would be typical as well, because there are lots of different types of drinks: alcoholic drinks, hot drinks, cold drinks. Drug would often be E. So I think there's an E in there somewhere. So it's either a word that contains ME or IM with an E at the end, and it means drink, or an E somewhere near the end to mean drink. Don't know. No, let's go on. Rebuild support with rock. Okay, well, rebuild can be an anagram indicator. Support has 7 letters. There's not an obvious anagram of that. So if rebuild isn't, again, as we had before, if rebuild isn't the anagram indicator, then that would suggest that rebuild is the definition part. And we're looking for a word for support with a word for rock, which I'm not seeing. So let's get on with the down clues. Just before we do, hope you're enjoying the solve today. If you are, then please consider giving the video a thumbs up. It really does help the algorithm to point me as a new channel, to point me in the right place, so that people who enjoy cryptic crosswords get to see my videos suggested and promoted. That'd be much appreciated. And if you want to be alerted of more content from me as I publish, and I'm trying to do 2 crossword solves a week on a Tuesday and a Saturday, then hit the subscribe button, and then that should appear in your list of subscriptions and new content when I release it. Okay, with that being said, let's crack on. 1 down. Charlie meets supple mountaineer, perhaps. So Charlie is the NATO phonetic alphabet word for C, and we've got C at the beginning. So clearly this is the wordplay part. Charlie meets supple mountaineer, perhaps. So are we looking for a mountaineer, perhaps? So is this a mountaineer person? It could be a mountaineer like an animal maybe that lives in the mountains. Yeah, not seeing that one. Let's go on. Dance after night in straits. So night is a word to represent the letter N. You may think N is a curious abbreviation for night because night begins with a K, but actually it's from chess notation. So in chess, obviously the king would also be K, so the king being the more important piece in chess carries the K, and in chess notation a knight is referred to as an N, with N. So we have N. So darts after night, yeah. So darts colloquially are called arrows, certainly in terms of the sport, but darts are also arrows, I guess, in the real context. So arrows after N for night gives straits, and straits are narrows. So in terms of perhaps shipping, straits usually or quite often man-made, narrow canal type features. So narrows are straits. Swiftly cover up in A and E. Okay, well, we've got A and E in the clue. So I think we're looking for a word that means swiftly. Yeah, this is a pace. So a cover is a cap, C-A-P, and then up is a reversal indicator. It's a hint to tell us to reverse the word for cover. So you put that backwards in A and E, you get a pace, and if something happens apace, it happens swiftly. Right, what have we got here? Not sure about that one. Will try books about contents of games. Well, will is a testament. Try is test. So if that is testament, then that NY is not correct. Let's see if we can get the answer from testament. So to try is test, T-E-S-T. Books, and this is another standard definition, books often refer to books in the Bible, either the actual names of books in the Bible, like Book of Kings or Psalms or whatever, but sometimes just NT for New Testament and OT for Old Testament. And here we have NT for New Testament. So we have test and NT going around or about the content of games. So the content of the word games is AME. So we have AME in the middle. So that looks like testament, and a testament is a will. So that's definitely the answer. So we obviously didn't quite get the 15 across correct. Let's go on. Fine golf device. Okay, so back to the NATO phonetic alphabet. G is the word for is the abbreviation of golf. So golf represents the letter G, and we've got the G here. Yeah, so a device would be a thing, and fine is thin. If a particular, maybe a piece of cloth is very fine, it's very thin. So thin with G for golf gives thing, and a thing is a device. Okay, a health resort raised money for vegetables. This looks like asparagus again. So we had asparagus a couple of weeks ago. And from time to time, I do spot the same word appear in several crosswords. I don't know whether it's common in other compilers, but certainly the Telegraph, okay, you do see the same word appear perhaps almost a couple of times in a week. I do wonder whether the setters each challenge themselves to include the word in the grid with a different definition or different bit of cryptic wordplay. So in terms of how we solve this one, A is A at the top. A health resort is a spa, SPR. Raised money, so money in this case is colloquially as sugar. If you think of perhaps the term sugar daddy would be an older man who has lots of money. So sugar is money colloquially, and the vegetables are asparagus. Okay. Bird priest caught in cooking vessel. Okay, so C is a recognised abbreviation for caught, and that's cricket parlance. So you can have B for bold and O for over, C for cricket, C for caught are recognised abbreviations. A cooking vessel is a pot or a pan. Yeah, so this is pelican. Oops, fat finger trouble today. Pelican. Okay, so a pelican is a bird. The priest, and we're back to biblical references. The priest is Eli. So E-L-I. C for caught in pan, which is a cooking vessel, gives pelican, which is a bird. Old tree left by yard. Okay, so O is an abbreviation for old, but it would have to be at the beginning of the word, and it's not, because we begin with the letter E. So that would suggest that old is the answer, the definition, rather than the part of the wordplay. Y is a recognised abbreviation for yard. L can be left, so I think we have elderly. So old is elderly. The tree is an elder, that's obviously a type of tree. L for left, Y for Y. So elder, ly, gives elderly, which is old. 14 down. Spider is natural at spinning. And if you look at the checking letters we've got there, that looks like tarantula. And yep, so this is an anagram. So spinning here gives us the hint, the indicator that we need to be looking at an anagram. And an anagram of natural at is tarantula. Great. 16 down. Try and finish each verse with possessive word. So did we have try before? So try is often test. Finish could be end. We've got end here. So if try meant the first bit, does that mean to try as in to prosecute somebody? Don't know. Let's go on. Finish the rest of the down clues and then we'll have a look and see what else we can get. 17 down. After a line gets creative. Question mark. So question mark, you get this occasionally in crosswords, sometimes more often than others. This looks like it's the only one today. But the question mark here is important. It's telling us that maybe the definition, the definition isn't absolutely perfect. Sometimes it means, for example. So if you were to see perhaps, I don't know, a make of car, question mark, then he wouldn't be referring specifically to that make of car. It would be to cars in general, and that particular car is given as an anagram. It works with animals too. You get a particular animal, it doesn't necessarily refer to that animal, but it refers to animals in general. Or it can be that it's a bit of a play on words as well, a bit of a pun, a bit of a joke. Or that the definition isn't perfect or isn't obvious. So what do we got? So that's then suggests that this is the definition part, so creative. So the wordplay is after a line gets, or after a line. Yeah, I think this is lateral. Again, and it isn't immediately obvious as an answer for creative, but after is later. A is A, L is a recognized abbreviation for line. So later AL gives lateral. And if you are creative thinking, you could be said to think laterally. So lateral thinking, creative thinking, it's that kind of definition of the word creative. Again, maybe not an absolutely perfect dictionary definition, which is why the question mark is there to say, think of a little bit of wordplay, a little bit outside the box of the exact definition. But I think that's right. Later AL is lateral, which is creative. Okay. Having accepted defeat, revolutionary crowd flourish and prosper. That's a lot of words for 7 letters. So revolutionary can be Che, as in Che Guevara, as a famous revolutionary. It can sometimes be red as well, as in kind of maybe communist red, or that kind of reds, socialist revolutionaries in that sense. Revolutionary is also a reversal indicator. So we could have, looking at those letters, a defeat would be a loss. So if that's loss, and a crowd is a mob, I think that's it. So Revolutionary crowd is mob in reverse, M-O-B, going up. Accepting defeat, so accepting loss, the word loss, gives blossom, which means to flourish and prosper. So a little bit unusual that we've got two definitions, two straight parts. Either one of those would have done, but flourish and prosper just adds a little bit of a, makes you think a bit longer about is flourish part of the cryptic wordplay, or is it part of the definition? But I think I'm pretty sure this is blossom, which means to flourish and prosper. Okay, 20 down. Piece of basic horizontal meat product. Yeah. Okay, so there's several hints to the answer here. Chorizo is the answer. So, looking at this, basic horizontal, strange combination of words. Again, unless the letters themselves actually mean something and are essential to solving the clue. Piece of is telling us literally to take a piece of the following words. So this is a hidden indicator telling us that part of the following words are the answer. Then I spotted that we had the C from sax. And as soon as you get down to the C from sax and think what's next, you can see quite clearly horizon. So C and horizo gives chorizo, which is the meat product. 21 down. Little spot where deer and mushrooms arise. Okay, so I'll be looking for a word that means arise from little spot, or does it? Is arise could be the reverse, a reversal indicator. Mushrooms and deer. Yeah, this is speckle, I think. So deer are elk, E-L-K, and mushrooms are ceps, C-E-P-S. And if you reverse those two, elk and ceps, you get speckle, which is a little dot, little spot that you might see. Great. Cracking on. 23 down. Fake, sweet. Okay, this is a double definition clue. So we're looking for a word that means both fake and sweet. Yeah. So this is fudge. So if you fudge something, you kind of make it up, you fake it, and obviously fudge is sweet, sweet. Understands Boxing Day roots. This could mean roots, or does it mean understands? Either way, it looks like it ends in an S, so we'll put that in. No, don't know. Okay, well that's all the cross and down clues reviewed once. We haven't missed any. Let's have a look here. This looks like it's probably emergency then, is it? Crisis is emergency. Yeah, so to go out is to emerge. Yeah, so NY here is New York, and about, one of the abbreviations, recognized abbreviations of about is C for circa. The other would be RE, R-E, but in this case I think it's C for circa. So to go out is to emerge, with C for circa in NY, New York, gives emergency, which is a crisis. Let's drop down here. This looks like it's probably, I was going to say lemonade, but it's too many letters. Limeade. Yeah, limeade. So the setter here would be I'm. The setter is, so I'm, the setter referring to himself, I'm in first place, so in the lead, L-E-A-D, with E for drug. We said E was a drug reference, gives drink, which is limeade. Okay, let's have a look. What's this one? Reboot device finally during break. So I think this is reset. So reset is reboot. I think we said that we thought reboot was the straight part. Device finally is E. Actually, it could be either one of these E's. and a break is a rest. So have a break, have a rest. So REST with the E from device finally gives reset, which is to reboot. Charlie perhaps meets supple mountaineer climber. Yeah, I think so. I guess if you supple is supple limber. If you're more supple, sort of lithe and limber in that sense. So C for Charlie, limber to mean supple, I think, and a mountaineer perhaps is a climber. All right, what's 23 across with an F? Marks pitch for bit of pavement. Something stone, maybe. Pitch is tone, so it does look like it is a bit of pavement. Flagstone, yeah, flagstone. Okay, so to mark something is to flag it. You mark something up, you flag it up, flag. So marks are flags. Pitch is tone, so flags, tone gives flagstone, which is a bit of pavement. 16 down. Try and finish each verse with possessive word. Yeah, it is end, so that's end. A recognised abbreviation for each is EA. And a recognised abbreviation for verse is V. And then the possessive word would be hour. So you have end, EA, V, hour gives endeavour. And to endeavour is to try. Nearly finished. 28 across. Rebuild support with rock. So rock, in the sense of geological stuff, is ore. Have we got, is this rest again? Restore. So we've had rest in one of the other clues, didn't we? So I think that's restore. You had rest up here in reset. So support, a support will be a rest, something that you support yourself with, or snooker support is a snooker rest in that sense. So rest with ore for rock gives restore, which is rebuild. And the last one. Understands Boxing Day roots. Yeah, this is seeds. So understands is sees. You see something, you understand it. Boxing Day is not Boxing Day, it's Boxing Day. So containing, or boxing, D for day. D is a recognised abbreviation for day. And the roots of something would be the seed of something. So there we go. Oh, we're doing 35 minutes or so today. Not too bad. That's the clues all explained. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining in today. I hope to see you again. If you did enjoy the video today, then please consider giving a thumbs up. That would really help. And maybe consider subscribing too if you want to hear more from me solving cryptic crosswords. And with all that being said, have a good day for the rest of the day, whatever it is you're up to. And hopefully see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye.